Stellantis just recalled over 1.3 million Wranglers and Gladiators. Why, you might ask? Because they catch fire. Not while driving, not while off-roading or rock crawling, sitting there. That's when they light on fire, doing absolutely nothing. In fact, Jeep is telling people, you better park it outside. Park away from buildings and anything that's combustible. But you'll notice they didn't check the do not drive there. You could drive it, but park it outside because it might light on fire. Now keep in mind, this is coming from Stellantis and GM, Ford, all these companies who tell US courts that they can't comply with the right to repair laws because of cybersecurity. Right. So they don't want the DIY guys or the independent shops repairing their vehicles, but they can't even build vehicles that won't light on fire just sitting there. So if you're wondering, it's the 2021 through 2025 Jeep Wranglers and Jeep Gladiators. And I love how this reads. It says some, as if they were like produced with different parts, right? The Jeep Wranglers and Gladiators, they have an electric hydraulic power steering pump, and it has an electrical connection susceptible to high resistance. That's where the fire comes from. So this doesn't even need to be a hybrid. It has nothing to do with batteries or hybrid. This is just your run-of-the-mill Gladiators and Wranglers. And I'm a little surprised that this isn't like a do not drive style recall, because they say some customers may experience loss of power steering assist. I'm assuming while you're driving, you'd have to think that the high resistance would be more common or more susceptible while you're driving and using the pump. Park outside, but it's okay to drive. And here's my favorite part, the timeline, because this is kind of where it gets weird. Back in 2023, Stellantis started investigating the fires. Vehicles were catching fire near the power steering connection. They looked into it, and then they closed the investigation. Why? Because there weren't enough fires. That's why. There weren't enough. We got these brand new vehicles. We know they catch on fire. We know where it is, but there's not enough of them to have a recall. And as you can imagine, you fast forward to 2024, more fires show up. Suddenly the investigation is back on. Funny how that works. The NHTSA gets involved. Now everyone's paying attention. So by April of 2026, they finally figure out that it's a loose electrical connection that can start melting. The part that gets me with this recall is that after years of investigations, meetings, reports, CT scans, x-rays, engineering analysis, government inquiries, they eventually arrive at the conclusion that your uncle would arrive at after looking at it for 12 seconds and saying, oh, well, the electrical connector's melted. There's your problem. So if you've got a Gladiator or a Wrangler, definitely park these things outside. Doesn't sound good. You don't want your house lighting on fire. I thought this was only an EV problem or a hybrid problem. Too many electronics on these vehicles. And this one personally gets me really fired up because it's related to that automated braking. I hate the automatic braking in these cars. And it's almost caused accidents when I've been in cars that have done that. People will almost rear end you when your car's just not behaving properly. So this is problems with Hyundai's forward collision avoidance have caused a recall of more than 500,000 vehicles. So 2025 through 26, Santa Cruz, Tucson hybrid. The problem is the automated emergency braking will just suddenly activate and apply the brakes while driving. I've actually seen this in a Tesla that I drove and other vehicles.
There it goes. All the way down.
And it's just so wild. Like, you could see this coming years ago, and you're finally seeing it. It says 4 reports indicated crashes in which Hyundai vehicles were rear-ended by closely following vehicles, allegedly resulting in 4 injuries. Now, of course, the people shouldn't be following so close that they're rear-ending a car that's doing automated braking. But the problem is, these cars that do the automatic braking, they're not behaving like a normal driver. Like if you're following a car and you've got 1 or 2 car lengths in front of you, the car just brakes for no reason because someone turned in front of them, but they were 1,000 feet ahead. That's what these automated braking systems do. So where a human understands, oh, the car passed in front at an intersection or whatever, I don't need to worry about that because they can see that the car is moving on and the timing's going to work out just fine. Whereas these systems see that car pass in front of them and they freak out and jam on the brakes. They behave unlike any human has ever behaved driving a car, and then the person behind them rear ends them because the person behind them doesn't expect that behavior. They just need so much refinement before they could even be as good as just your basic 18-year-old driving a car has like 1 month of experience in this stuff. It's just wild to me. And you know, every manufacturer continues to have these weird problems like crankshaft or rod bearing issues. It just seems like no one can build anything right anymore since 2020. I don't know if a bunch of people just retired, but it just seems to be pervasive through all the manufacturers. So Ford's going to replace the 2.3 liter EcoBoost engine. They're looking at the 25 through 26 Ford Explorer, Ranger, and Bronco vehicles. They have more than 1,500 of these, which is a low number, but they say that they might have engine problems. They're going to replace the entire long block because during camshaft installation in the engine, the previously placed engine camshaft roller finger follower was potentially dislodged from its intended position. It's just this quality control around some of the most important parts in these vehicles, like building engines, whether it's General Motors, Toyota, we've got Ford now. You just see this come up over and over again. My guess is this might be more than 1,500. I guess we'll see. They said you might hear an engine ticking or tapping noise or a check engine light. And another Toyota recall. Toyota, the bastion of hope, the company that's supposed to be the most reliable. People buy them because they're bulletproof. Not so much anymore. It doesn't matter what you buy, you're going to see these sorts of problems. We have too many electronics in vehicles. There's just almost no way to make these things perfectly reliable anymore. Toyota has recalled 90,000 vehicles because the 12.3-inch combination meter display may appear blank. The 24 through 25 Toyota Land Cruiser, Toyota Mirai, the Lexus UX, and Lexus GX vehicles. Now, this isn't just a Toyota thing. I've got all sorts of weird stuff going on in Uconnect and my Ram. Other people have it in other brands. It does not matter. When you get full screen displays on your dash that's integrated with your infotainment system, there's so many things that can go wrong. And you see it in other brands. Here's another recall, May 31st. Nissan Kicks recalls for dashboard display screen failures. So the same thing, 25 through 26 Nissan Kicks, 51,000 SUVs, the combination meters may cause the dash display screens to fail. And more obvious incompetence from these companies. Ford recalls 420,000 Expeditions and Lincoln Navigators. So 2018 through 2022, the front seat belts won't extend or retract because the belt pretensioners may lock the seat belts. And another recall on June 2nd, 2021 through 2026, Ford Bronco Sports and Ford Mavericks also are recalled. The owners are warned to stop driving their vehicles until they are repaired. More than 4,600 Ford vehicles are recalled because the front lower control arm ball joints may have been incorrectly installed or incorrectly repaired at the assembly plant. In Ford's description of this problem, they said that the plant operator may not have fully inserted the front lower control arm ball stud into the front wheel knuckle before securing an associated pinch bolt. Looks like, I guess, on the assembly lines are just new and fresh and they just don't understand how things work. But you'd think there'd be some training and some fail-safe, some QC on this stuff, but apparently not. And Lexus, of all companies, has a fuel pump failure recall. Lexus fuel pump recalls about 9,700 vehicles because of the low pressure fuel pump. That's funny. I assumed it would be the high pressure fuel pump because they've got these dual setups on a lot of these new Toyota vehicles. You've got the low pressure and the port injection and the high pressure and the direct injection. The fuel pump impeller is made of resins that can swell and interfere with other components, causing damage to the fuel pump. And the recalls just go on and on. I mean, this is just the past couple weeks of recalls. You get backup camera failures in Acura and Hondas. I mean, it does not matter what brand. And I want you guys to keep something in mind. All of these brands lobby against right to repair. They don't want people repairing their own vehicles. They want all of the repairs to run through their dealership because it runs through factory parts. They sell more factory parts. It's a business model. It's just more money. It's another revenue stream for them. So the reason they hate right to repair is not because of your security. It is because they want more money. They want more out of your wallet. Draining your wallet through a lease or $1,000 a month payments isn't good enough for them. They need more, which is why these vehicles, it's proven every week or so, they are built to fail earlier. They don't care about these problems. They just want them to barely get through warranty. And these recalls are just them getting a little overzealous with their planned obsolescence. They're making some mistakes in the engineering. They're supposed to last 30 or 40,000 miles and it's not. Or even in the powertrain or engine department, they're supposed to last 60,000 miles and then you're on your own. But they peeled it back a little too far. They went a little too far on the quality cutting, and it's biting all of them in the butt, and now they're spending millions of dollars, if not billions, in some of these recalls. I've been beating this drum for a couple years now. Quality is not going to get better, probably going to get worse before it gets better. You can't have 100 different computers in a car with a million different wiring harnesses and 2 batteries, all this complexity, and expect things to be old, reliable, what we're used to in like a 2010 Toyota that was very basic by today's standards. That's it for this one. Thanks for watching. Till next time.